So today also we'll continue with cryptography applications. Okay, in previous class we discussed about tar key establishment. Okay, so we'll continue with that. So how tar tool will be used we discussed in previous class. Okay, so we'll continue with that. So if Alice wants to transfer data to a web server, okay, she is going to store the data with the web server, or if she is retrieving the data, okay, so that time what she can what how will it be, how tar tool will be used there? It will make use of onion, 3 onion routers will be used. Okay, so Alice will be having the secret keys, okay, symmetric keys, which are session keys shared between, individually shared between onion router 1, Alice and onion router 2, and Alice and onion router 3. Okay, so why it is called as onion router you have to know, because first no, here this encrypted message will be transferred to onion router 1. It will remove the first wrap, then that remaining message will be transferred to onion router 2. It will remove the second wrap. Okay, then it will remove then it will be transferred to onion router 3. It will remove the third wrap. Okay, wrap, that's why it's called as how the layers in onion router we remove, no, in the same way. Okay, so here first the secure channel will be established between Alice and onion router 1. Okay, so using SSL TLS channel. Okay, then here using the key which is public key, no, shared among the Alice and onion router 1, using that, okay, so the session key has to be generated. So for that GX1 using Diffie-Hellman algorithm it will be shared here. Okay, onion router 1, after removing GX1 it will generate GY1. Okay, onion router 1 will generate, and it will transfer to, along with that authentication information, it will transfer to Alice. Now what Alice has to do, using the symmetric session key which is shared among Alice and onion router 1, okay, that is KF1, key F1. Okay, using that onion router 2, that address will be transferred, and the encrypted data, okay, here onion router 2 OR2 is, you know, that's a key which is known to Alice and onion router 2. Okay, so this what is this key, it will not be known to onion router 1. Okay, so now here this, using that GX2 will be transferred to it will be concatenated, and using the key which is known to Alice and onion router 1, no, it will be encrypted and transferred. After that onion router 1, between onion router 1 and onion router 2, the secure channel will be created using SSL and TLS. Okay, then onion router 2 will transfer GY2 and authentication information and to onion router 1. That will be encrypted using the key which is known to Alice and onion router 1. Okay, so onion router 1, after removing it, it will transfer this data to Alice after encrypting the data. After that onion router 2, between onion router 2 and onion router 3, okay, here secure channel will be established using SSL and TLS. So now let's discuss about the main differences between these keys, okay, related to this onion routers and all, like how will it be handled. Okay, so here public key cryptography algorithm will be used, okay, for transferring the symmetric key among them. After that, here GX1 is generated by Alice, and it is transferred to onion router 1, and onion router 1 generated GY1 and transferred, right? They are all getting transferred. Okay, so GX1 and GY1, if you multiply both, one value will get, no, that key value will be used for authentication purpose. Okay, so for this Diffie-Hellman algorithm will be used. Okay, so I told GX1 who will generate, Alice will generate. Once again, and GY1 will be generated by onion router 2. Okay, so now the authentication information, no, it will be calculated using the key GX1 Y1. Okay, so here the private key what the onion router 1 is going to use is B1. Okay, so using that it can generate GB1. Okay, so here for integrity checking, onion routers will depend on HMAC algorithms. So now let's see how Tor integrity checking will happen. So here Tor network will make use of integrity checking also. Okay, then here Alice and onion router 1 will share the single symmetric key, as I mentioned already, and there are two integrity keys. Okay, so when Alice is transferring to onion router 1, it will use the integrity key DF1. When onion router 1 is transferring to Alice, in the reverse, okay, so it will use the integrity key DB1. Okay, and there are two integrity check values. So here the first one is integrity check value F1 and integrity check value B1. So for the forward communication from Alice to onion router 1, so whenever Alice wants to transfer to the web server some data, that time from Alice the data will be transferred to onion router 1, onion router 2, onion router 3, and finally it will reach the web server. Okay, so when in the backward communication, when it is transferred from web server to Alice, it will be transferred through onion router 3, onion router 2, and onion router 1. Then it will reach the Alice. That is backward communication. Okay, so now let's see how hash functions will be used here. Okay, so now the hash function h, okay, that will be used, and df1 is the forward key, db1 is the backward key. Okay, as we have seen in the previous slide. Okay, so now Alice is sending a message to the web server, so it will pass through all these onion routers. Okay, so now here the forward key is KF1 between onion router 1, Alice and onion router 1. So the message will be transferred. So the integrity check value is F1. Okay, and here the first 4 bytes will be used here. Okay, so the hash function of the key. Okay, then what are the previous messages? along with that the message. Okay, so the hash value of previous messages concatenate to the message will be transferred. And then onion router 1, now it will whenever from the web server, if it's getting a message, okay, so it has to, onion router 1 will receive it and it has to transfer to Alice. Okay, so the key, private key, which will be used now for encrypting the message. Okay, so for the symmetric algorithm, the symmetric key used is KB1 for the backward communication. Okay, so now the integrity check value is ICV-B1. Okay, then here the hash function will be applied, and here what is the hash value of all the previous messages, that will be concatenated to the message. Okay, that will be transferred from onion router 1 to Alice. Okay, so now let's see how the tower communication happens. Okay, so there are symmetric keys which will be generated for 3 routers. Okay, onion router 1, router 2 and router 3. So here the Alice wants to send the data to web server. Okay, and 3 onion routers are involved here, so separate integrity check values will be used. Okay, so here first the data will be taken by Alice. It will be encrypted using the key for the 3rd onion router. Then the integrity check value for the forward communication, which is related to the onion router 3. Okay, all will be concatenated, and it will be labeled as ciphertext 3. Then what happens? Now this information, this ciphertext what we have generated, no, that can be decrypted using onion router 3, but it has to go through onion router 2. So now what happened, that ciphertext C3, okay, so it will be encrypted using the key for the 2nd onion router KF2, and it will be labeled with the C2, and the integrity check value is F2. Okay, and now first ciphertext is for onion router 3, then again it is encrypted using the key for onion router 2. So once again it will be encrypted using onion router 1's key, that is KF1. Okay, so with that the integrity check value F1 will be concatenated and sent. So one ciphertext again it is encrypted. So, okay, so this has to be wrapped out by using the ciphertext. Okay, so now the ciphertext 1 will be sent to onion router 1. Okay, so onion router 1 will decrypt it using the symmetric key KF1, and it will recover integrity check value F1. Okay, so the message can be authenticated that it's not corrupted. Okay, and so it will check for the integrity check value. Okay, the hash value it will check. Now whatever the message it got, right, onion router 1, it will have the ciphertext. So that ciphertext will be forwarded to onion router 2, because onion router 2's address will be there in it. Onion router 2 will decrypt it, okay, using the key KF2, because using that only it is encrypted, and it will get the integrity check value. Okay, then what happens, onion router 2 will send the remaining message. So in the remaining message, encrypted data for onion router 3 will be there. Okay, after wrapping out, onion router will see the ciphertext which can be decrypted by onion router 3. So that it will forward to onion router 3. So onion router 3 will decrypt will be transferred to onion router 2. Okay, it's in the encryption form it will be sent, and with the key here, no, the integrity check value for the message, actual our message, no, the data which has to be transferred to web server. So here onion router 2 will receive the integrity check value and the ciphertext. Okay, then here this onion router 2 will receive it and it will transfer the ciphertext to onion router 3. So this ciphertext is encrypted using the symmetry key which is known to Alice and onion router 3. So it will transfer the data and integrity check value F3. Okay, then finally onion router 3 happily will send data to the web server. Okay, this is the way how the tar tool works. Okay, so the same thing is explained here. Okay, so now how the key management will happen in tar tool. So all the routers, no, here onion router 1, 2, 3, all of them will have the identity key pair. So between onion router 1 and 2, between onion router 2 and 3, they will have the identity key pair. Okay, and then they'll have the verification key also, and all these keys details will be stored in the directory servers. Okay, so whenever they sign their data for authentication purpose, it will be their key details will be referred from this directory servers. Okay, and for each and every session key generation, for every session, no, in the tar session, the symmetric keys will be newly generated. It's not a long-term key. So now let's move on to tar security issues. So we use tar tool for anonymity purpose only. Okay, so here the limit, we cannot expect the complete anonymity nature here. There is a limitation there. Okay, and here both the points, if any intruder wants to analyze the traffic of the data, okay, what is getting transferred among Alice and web server in the example what we have seen, if they just observe what is the traffic happening among them, no, they can easily able to analyze it. Then at what time they are changing the data, what is the interval of data transfer, when it is high, when it is low, that kind of things the intruder can analyze. So now let's discuss what are the design considerations. There are 4 design considerations. The first one is use of respected components. Okay, so tar make use of open source project. Okay, so they whatever the plugins needed, it can be built over that. The second design consideration is efficiency over security. So any user can configure his settings and he can use it. Okay, and they can provide the voluntarily the user, if anybody wants to become their system, if they want that to be used as onion router, they can establish that configuration. Okay, and cost is very less, and for integrity testing and all, it takes less time. Okay, and for maintaining the perfect forward secrecy, tar tool will use Diffie-Hellman key agreement. And the fourth design consideration is evolving design. Okay, so between Alice and onion router 1, for example, if you consider, they will have the they will transfer the session key. Okay, they have to establish a secure channel, then using the secure channel they will share their symmetry key first. That's the way how they start the communication among them. Okay, so now let's see what is the engineered design. Okay, so here if you see between Alice and onion router 1, then onion router 1 and onion router 2 second channel, and between onion router 2 and onion router 3 third layer of communication, then finally from onion router 3 to the web server. So it's a 4-layer encryption mechanism used here over the communication channel. Okay, so here there are two separate techniques used here. Okay, so TOR itself will provide the data integrity checkup, as well as SSL TLS, that mechanism also will provide the data integrity check. Okay, so the integrity maintenance is very efficient in when you are using TOR tool. So now let's move on to the next topic. Okay, cryptography for digital currency. Okay, so digital currency, here what we are going to see is about Bitcoin. So the way how we have discussed about the key management for other cryptography application, in the same way here also the keys has to be managed very securely, they have to be transferred. Okay, so the financial organization, they will be using this digital currency. Even if they want to make use of smart card also in future, it may come up with that. Okay, so there are two important characteristics we have to know about this digital currency. The first one is generation of monetary supply. Okay, so you know about like getting the monetary benefit. So like whatever the action you do, whatever the process you do, or whatever the operation you carry out, for that if you are getting some money, no, you'll be happy to do. Okay, so like in Facebook also people may get revenue. Okay, in Twitter also, according to the followers, no, like you can promote, some of the advertisement may appear there and you will get money over that. Okay, so here also, like in YouTube also, it is that provision is there, the monetization benefit is there. Similarly here we need one process, okay, so which will be helpful for producing and transferring the money. That's why this Bitcoin digital currency playing a major role. Okay, so the second important characteristic is witnessing of transaction. Okay, so what are all the transaction happening between the sender and receiver, it has to be recorded. Okay, and if you receive money, you have to accept that you received money. You should not say that after receiving the Bitcoin, I didn't receive. Okay, it's like in PhonePe, no, after transferring money, if somebody says I didn't get money, like how you will feel? You will feel like cheated, right? So it should not happen. So that is like non-repudiation operation, nobody will entertain that. So the digital money transfer house, they should provide us the facility of it. So this Bitcoin, no, it provides the it's a highly distributed architecture, and whatever the Bitcoin transfer we perform over there, it is stored in the distributed ledger. Okay, so usually ledger means, you know, like all the details, all the transaction details. What in library you might have seen the big ledger, right? What book you are taking, or at what time you entered the library. Okay, so all those details will store, you'll write it. So in the same way, in the net also, okay, Bitcoin transaction, okay, it will be recorded in the ledger. Okay, and this is in a distributed manner, the record will be stored. So here we'll be making use of the smart so this will helpful for managing the smart contracts. Okay, So now let's see what are the security requirements. So the first one is non-repudiation of transaction. Okay, and here the person, anybody, if they are making the transaction later, they should not deny that they didn't do the transaction. Okay, without paying, somebody should not say we have paid, and after receiving the money, somebody should not say I didn't receive. That is the thing, non-repudiation. Okay, it will help us to do that. Second one is integrity of the entire transaction data set. So whatever the Bitcoin amount we are transferring, we have to make sure it's not corrupted in between. For example, some 100 Bitcoin if you are transferring, then later somebody should not corrupt it to become 50 or 5. No, nobody will like it, right? And in the same way, after spending the Bitcoin, once again you should not use it for some other purpose. Okay, Bitcoin, for example, consider Bitcoin 1. After spending it, after transferring it, once again you should not use the same. Bitcoin will have the Bitcoin address. Same thing, once again you should not use it. So it should prevent the double spending. The third security requirement is pseudonymity of transaction. So the person who is holding the Bitcoin, that details will be hidden, but it is not completely anonymous. Okay, so whatever the smart card details and all, no, they can be, like, the privacy preserving details can be hidden. Okay, and here for authentication purpose, hash functions will use similar to the other cryptography application. One of the example is SHA-256 will be used. Okay, so the next one is Bitcoin transaction. So how will it happen? So Bitcoin transaction will happen through Bitcoin addresses. So the Bitcoins will have their addresses. Okay, so what is Bitcoin address? It's a string of characters associated with a sort of account who is having it. Okay, so it will be associated to the user. So according to the authentication signature and the verification key pair, it will be differing. Okay, so for example, if my friend is, for example, if I am transferring the Bitcoin what I am having, the address of it will be totally different. When I transfer to you, okay, one of you, if you receive it, okay, the address will be same, but whenever you are initiating the process to transfer to someone else, that time the address will be regenerated. It will be some other new address will be generated. So every time it will be changing according to the payer. Okay, so the Bitcoin address, they are derived from the verification key. Okay, so how will it happen? The verification will be done through the hash function, that is by using SHA-256. Okay, and hashing the result it can be done through RIP MD160, and again base 58 encoding also will be used. Okay, and this verification key will be converted to the pseudo random string of characters, so the length will be shortened. Okay, so like the some group of the pattern of characters will be represented by another character. Okay, so kind of encoding will be used there. So those addresses will be called as vanity addresses. Okay, so finally we'll get a short address, short Bitcoin address. Okay, so which is a string of text. So how will you do the Bitcoin payment? Okay, so whoever wants to perform the transaction, Bitcoin transaction, they have to first digitally sign the statement that they are going to make the Bitcoin address. Okay, and that information will be written into the distributed ledger. Okay, so in distributed ledger, what data will be stored? The unspent transaction output, okay, which is called as UTXO. Okay, so that will be written into the distributed ledger. And here For each and every Bitcoin, how many Bitcoins are transferred, and what is the Bitcoin address? Okay, so that is needed to be kept track. So those details will be there in the ledger. Okay, in a distributed manner, the ledger is maintained. Okay, so if one person wants to transfer, okay, if I want to transfer the Bitcoin, UTXO, unspent transaction output, right? So that will be fetched. Okay, so for that, Bitcoin address is needed. Okay, so the transaction input, it is whoever paying it, no, digital, along with the digital signature, he has to initiate the debt amount transaction. So all the transaction will be having the UTXO detail, that is unspent transaction output, along with that to which person we are transferring, similar to our phone pay or Google Pay, okay, or in NEFT. So who is a payer, who is a receiver, beneficiary, will in the same way here also. Okay, and whenever I think like when you were doing some of the long back now we used to do demand draft and all that time some extra amount we have to pay, right? So that is a service charge. Similarly here also transaction fee is there. Okay, so with that we reached the end of today's session.